So the first question is, thanks for posting this, Thomas. I want to start intermittent fasting, but I drink alcohol on a regular basis. Can I not drink?
That's a super good question, obviously a common one. First off, we have to understand how alcohol is metabolized, but let me give you the short answer just in case you're pressed for time. No, you don't have to stop drinking. Now, there's some things and rules that I'm going to give you, and I have those in my program, but when it comes down to the general big picture of alcohol, we just have to factor in that when you're fasting, your body's very, very sensitive.
Right.
So you don't want to be drinking during your fasting window unless you want to be a really cheap date or a total lightweight, because it's going to hit you hard. And me, I mean, coming out of the background that I was in a corporate setting. I mean, I understand nights out. I understand that sometimes you have to wine and dine people. Sometimes you have to, play the game a little bit.
Yeah.
Even if you're not an avid drinker, you're someone, I talk to a lot of guys that are busy people. And so I don't want them to freak out thinking I can't do this program because of that. I mean, the fact is alcohol in the grand scheme of things is probably going to slow down your progress if you're doing it a lot.
Right.
I mean, I would be a liar if I didn't say that. But the thing is the occasional drink is not going to be a huge problem, especially if it's during your eating period when it's not going to have as much of a metabolic impact.
Right, and I think that's the big question that a lot of viewers are going to have is, when is the right time? Like, when would be the best time? Clearly, you don't want to break the fast. First of all, you don't want to drink during your fasting period. You don't want to be taking in those calories and that sugar at all.
Exactly. Alcohol still has 7 calories per gram.
Right, and I think that might be a question that people have is, hey, if it's alcohol, it's the liquid diet, is it okay? No, you cannot be drinking during your fast. But I know you also don't want to break your fast with alcohol either. So what are the rules and regulations on drinking and fasting?
Yeah. I mean, the parameters that I would give it is you'd want to be not consuming alcohol until you're about an hour into breaking your fast.
Okay.
Give that initial meal that you consumed a chance to actually metabolize, to break down. Because what happens when it comes down to how acetaldehyde is what it's called. So when you consume alcohol, it's turned into ethanol immediately as soon as it hits your saliva, as well as acetaldehyde. Now, acetaldehyde is a very, very toxic substance for the liver. So what ends up happening, as a matter of preference, the liver decides to break down acetaldehyde above all else. Basically, it says, oh my gosh, this acetaldehyde or alcohol is so toxic.
Yeah.
We need to put everything else on the back burner. It's like high alert. If it's not acetaldehyde, don't process it. So if you had just eaten a bunch of food and then you're drinking alcohol, all that food is going to sit there and go to storage because the body said, wait a minute, we need to process this alcohol. Let that food simmer down a little bit, then consume your alcohol.
Man, that makes a lot of sense, and I think that's a really good tip. The first thing we want everyone to understand, like Thomas had already said, is you can drink. It's okay to be normal and to enjoy alcohol. But that tip right there makes so much sense. Give your body some buffer room before you drop the alcohol in there, because your body's going to immediately want to handle the alcohol, and now you're going to store all that food as excess energy, i.e. body fat, so you don't want that.
Nailed it. And the cool thing is by default, in the intermittent fasting program that I wrote, I talk about what's called the fast break meal. And the fast break meal is the meal that you break your fast with. Yeah. So it's like the small meal before you go into regular eating. I mean, ironically, that break fast meal is like the perfect pre-drinking meal because it's just enough calories. It's the right constituents to actually allow your body something to metabolize, but not so much. So it actually ends up working out great. So it's like if you follow the program, that after you have that fast break meal, which is a scientifically proven light meal to break a fast, that's like a perfect pre-drinking meal too.
Yeah. So how can people check out those fast break meals?
Yeah, I talk a little bit more about the program in general. All you have to do is head on over to SixPackAbs.com. Just explains the different intricacies of fasting and all the different myths surrounding it and everything like that.
So I think the next golden question that I have to ask on behalf of this viewer and everyone else who wants to know is, what drinks do you recommend?
Totally. Okay, so if it comes down to it, I would highly dissuade people from having beer simply because the gluten is going to mess you up. Hard apple cider, significantly better. If you're going to go with an alcohol, try to find one that's low gluten or no gluten. Believe it or not, even Guinness, a dark beer like that, believe it or not, is a low gluten content. But when it comes down to the hard alcohols, triple or quadruple distilled vodka, triple, quadruple distilled gin, tequila's clean. Stay away from the things that have the congeners in it. Stay away from the wine a little bit if you can. Stay away from the brandies. Stay away from that cognac. That's hard to break down, and you will feel sick, especially when you're fasting and consume that. The purer, the better.
Okay. What's your favorite drink?
If I had to pick one, I don't like to consume a lot of calories, so I would just say Everclear. Just get it done.
Oh, just get it done.
Just get it done. Save the calories.
I drink tequila.
Okay.
I like tequila. I like to say it's paleo because it's coming from the agave.
That's true.
So that's kind of why I go for it. And then I've also read a little bit that there's probiotics in there. I don't know. It's a stretch, but for me, I'm like, if I'm gonna drink, I'm gonna do something that's like kind of got some theory behind it being healthy.
I drink about like once every 6 months. So it's like, I'm a lightweight to begin with. But anyway, I mean, I digress. Get onto it, check out the video that I did, ScienceBasedSixPack.com, or just click on that link in the corner.
We'll see you there.